last-minute scramble to strike a trade deal this Tuesday night. Canadian officials are in Washington trying to stave off a new round of U.S. tariffs set to take effect within hours.
To say that business owners are worried and stressed is probably an understatement.
Canada's wildfire forecast. What's next for one of the worst seasons on record? A pledge from the PQ, while the Parti Québécois plans to delay its push for an independence referendum. Plus, home is where the herd is.
This is like the bestest day of my life.
The group of goats bringing utter joy to BC wildfire evacuees.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. In just hours from now, Canada is set to be hit by new U.S. tariffs targeting a wide range of Canadian products. The 50% levy will take effect after midnight unless negotiators can strike a last-minute deal. Prime Minister Mark Carney spoke to U.S. President Donald Trump by phone this afternoon, and Canadian negotiators are still working to hammer out an agreement tonight, with thousands of jobs on both sides now hanging in the balance. Mackenzie Gray has our top story tonight.
All was quiet outside the Prime Minister's office, with Mark Carney choosing to take his latest call from Donald Trump from home. Carney's office only saying the pair discussed trade, their second call in as many days, in a bid to try and find a deal to avoid new U.S. tariffs that are just hours away.
I want to see a deal, so I'm a bit nervous, but this is what deadlines do. There really isn't final offers put on the table, the final element of compromise until the very end.
Ambassador Greer, can you comment at all on the negotiations with Canada?
Ducking out of his Washington office around 7 p.m. Eastern, U.S. Trade Czar Jameson Greer taking no questions after meeting with Mexico's economy minister. Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc's office wouldn't say if he talked with Greer on Tuesday. The key reason a deal hasn't been found? Auto tariffs, according to sources. Currently, the U.S. charges 25% on Canadian cars and parts and are willing to drop it to 15%, but auto industry insiders have warned the Carney government if they accept that, Canadian car plants will close after their current models are done production. Softwood, also another issue, but even industry insiders admit it's unlikely the U.S. will drop their 45% levy.
I think it's going to be a tough sell, my sense, to get lumber on the table.
No movement on forestry and not enough on autos could make it hard for provinces like BC and Ontario to put U.S. booze back on the shelves, a non-negotiable position for the Americans.
There's no sector that has faced the impact of the United States attack on Canada than our forestry sector.
It's the Prime Minister's preference to get a deal now, according to sources, and to do so, he's added increased defense cooperation with the Americans as a part of the talks to avoid $28 billion worth of new tariffs.
There's a lot at stake. I mean, we're talking about imposing a 50% tariffs on products coming from Quebec, which were protected by the USMCA until today.
With 3.5 hours left before Trump's tariff deadline, 3 sources with knowledge of the talks have told Global News they are not optimistic a last-second deal will be found, Jeff, to avoid the new 50% tariffs that will hit $28 billion worth of goods.
Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa. Thank you, Mac. That new 50% tariff would only apply to about 5% of Canada's exports, and economists expect the overall impact would be relatively small, around 0.5% of GDP. But if they're implemented, trade talks are expected to collapse. And as Heidi Petracek explains, some industries will face an existential crisis.
Got to start with our best-selling bras.
The clock is ticking for this Vancouver designer on her clothing sales to the United States. Because if U.S. President Donald Trump's latest 50% tariff threat on a wide swath of Canadian goods takes effect.
If we no longer are selling there, then we're missing almost half of our customer base, and our sales will inevitably plummet.
The list of Canadian products to be hit is long. Not even Manitoba honey is sweet enough to escape the threat.
60% of our honey goes into the United States.
The Section 338 tariffs would impact nearly $28 billion in annual Canadian exports to the U.S., so there's a lot on the line.
It's particularly harmful to the 1.8 million people who work in the sector across Canada.
Plastics, electrical machinery, and furniture among the most at risk, with exports to the U.S. totaling at least $4 billion each, more than any other global customer. Also on the list, plywood, particle board, and other finished wood products.
A 50% price increase is not in the bargaining table with our customers. and we'll essentially have to stop all sales to the U.S. overnight.
There are so many Canadian industries affected by Donald Trump's trade policies that even producers that aren't targeted in this specific tariff threat are watching what happens next very closely.
You have that uncertainty as to what's next and will there be more concessions.
The milk from this Nova Scotia herd won't be hit by these tariffs, although products like powdered milk and cheese are. But what concerns Greg Archibald most is whether his industry will be used as trade leverage. His message for Canadian negotiators: don't.
And we do believe that they are here to protect supply management, but protecting it is one thing and not conceding on further trade is another.
Industries and livelihoods all hanging in the balance. Heidi Petracek, Global News, Middle Musquodoboit, Nova Scotia.
We're getting a clearer picture tonight of the damage from those devastating wildfires in BC. The regional district of Okanagan-Similkameen says that about 150 structures in the Summerland area have been either damaged or destroyed. The Bald Range wildfire has grown to more than 22,000 hectares and is still burning out of control after 11 days. BC remains in a state of emergency, but wildfires are raging right across the country, with hotspots in the Northwest Territories, Saskatchewan, Ontario, and Quebec. The federal government just provided an update and a warning that wildfire conditions are expected to continue across much of the country into September. Jillian Piper reports on the forecast and the government's response.
It is one of the worst Canadian wildfire seasons on record.
Smells like smoke. Sounds like you just came out of your RV right into the fire that you got beside the RV. You know, the smoke is right in your face.
Nearly 600 fires are blazing across the country, with about 30 of those out of control, burning 4 million hectares so far. The federal government has deployed hundreds of Canadian Armed Forces members and a handful of aircraft to help fight the flames, while some international allies are also stepping up.
That includes the more than 500 international firefighters that are here from Mexico, from Australia, New Zealand, Costa Rica.
Hot and dry conditions are expected to continue throughout August and September.
We have about 4 weeks of the summer still ahead of us, and we are in it for the long haul unless the weather picture changes.
Putting British Columbia, Northern Quebec, Ontario, and the Territories all at high risk.
Stay alert to the conditions, have a grab-and-go bag ready, and listen to the directions of your local government or First Nation.
Evacuation orders are being lifted in several British Columbia communities, but some don't have anything to return to.
My heart is with everyone who has lost their home and with everyone who is still waiting outside of their community to return. I wish that I could tell you that the wildfire season is over, but it isn't.
This season has certainly been devastating, but it is not as severe as the record high number of wildfires seen in 2023 or 2025, which saw most of the country blanketed by smoke. Jeff?
Jillian Piper in Ottawa. Thanks, Jillian. Quebec is heading into a provincial election this fall, and the Parti Québécois, which is leading in the polls, just provided an update on its plans for an independence referendum. The PQ now says that if elected, it would not hold a vote on Quebec's sovereignty while Donald Trump remains in the White House. Dan Spector reports.
The PQ has been the favorite to win this fall's Quebec provincial election for nearly 2 years, and the party has been consistent in its pledge to hold a referendum in its first mandate if it emerges victorious on October 5th. But leader Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon raised many eyebrows Tuesday morning when he announced he would only trigger the vote after Donald Trump leaves the White House.
Can we trust that guy as premier while he backtracks that bad?
In a lengthy social media post, Saint-Pierre Plamondon said an issue as crucial as Quebec's political future requires conditions that allow for an informed and calm debate. Unpredictability from the U.S. administration would harm our process, as well as the quality of the debate over our future as a nation. A PQ government would not hold a referendum before January 20th, 2029, the end of Trump's mandate.
If you organize it at the end of a first mandate, you get that uncertainty during 4 years, which is worse.
Pretty naive to think that, Mr. Trump is the only protectionist politician in Washington, D.C.
According to poll aggregator QC125.com, support for separation has actually dropped by 5% since January, with under a third of the population reporting they'd vote yes to sovereignty. While the party remains in the lead, its poll numbers have been flat since the spring.
He's using the Trump factor as an excuse, essentially, to delay
a referendum that nobody seems to want.
Political analyst Karim Boulos thinks the leader is trying to court voters who are softer on sovereignty, but his opponents believe he's shot himself in the foot.
He's recognizing that a referendum would add a big layer, a thick layer of uncertainty.
He's actually, proving that Canada is a strong place to be in when things happen.
So will the pledge to hold a referendum in 2029 at the earliest win the PQ more support? Could party militants see the move as a cop-out? We'll begin to find out as the Quebec election campaign gets underway next week. Dan Spector, Global News, Montreal.
Opinion polls show Donald Trump's approval rating has plummeted to the lowest level of his second term, with the vast majority of Americans opposed to the war with Iran. Trump is facing mounting pressure to reach a peace deal to end that war, and the U.S. president is once again making big claims about who controls the key Strait of Hormuz. Jackson Prosco reports from Washington.
The Strait of Hormuz remains a critical flashpoint in a conflict that is otherwise stalled. In recent days, at least 2 ships have been struck by projectiles, killing 1 crew member.
We have total control over the strait. Now, they can be a nuisance. They can put a mine in the water, and people don't like having mines hit their billion-dollar ships, etc.
Yet U.S. President Donald Trump continues to make claims that are divorced from reality. On social media, he acknowledged there are no talks or conversations going on with Iran and claimed the strait is open and operating. In another post, he suggested the strait is new U.S. territory.
Neither side controls it. They both have the ability to interdict any vessels that transit. And so the strait is effectively closed to all shipping until further notice.
Qatari mediators seeking to broker peace say the closure of the strait has made their job all but impossible. And this week, Trump threw another wrench into talks, threatening to bomb Oman, a key U.S. ally, over its potential agreement with Iran to jointly manage the strait.
The agreement over the Strait of Hormuz would make it much easier for us to resume the talks between the United States and Iran.
Iran's top negotiator said the strait will not reopen until the U.S. implements everything Trump agreed to in the short-lived Memorandum of Understanding, including lifting the U.S. blockade and ending the military operation.
They want to make a deal, but they're not going to make the kind of a deal that I feel is necessary.
It's pretty clear that strategically the war is a failure.
And so the stalemate drags on, leaving one of the world's most vital shipping lanes closed for business. Jackson Prosco, Global News, Washington.
Canada has deported a former senior member of Iran's repressive regime. Syed Somani was Deputy Interior Minister in charge of Iran's security forces, including its notorious morality police. Somani came to Canada in 2021 and fought to stay here, claiming his life would be in danger if he returned. Somani is now the second person to be expelled under a ban on senior Iranian officials that was introduced in 2022, following the death of Mahsa Amini. The Iranian woman was arrested for showing her hair in public, and she later died in custody, sparking international outrage. A plea to the U.S. president coming up. The Palestinian American who's calling for help to protect his West Bank home from Israeli settlers. A high school student in the Philippines shot a classmate and then himself in that country's second deadly school shooting in just 2 months. The attack at a school in the southern Philippines was live streamed on social media by the shooter, who was wearing a body camera. Officials say one of the guns carried by the suspect was a government-issued pistol. It belonged to his father, who is an official at the Bureau of Customs. For more than a week now, a group of Israeli settlers has surrounded several Palestinian homes in the occupied West Bank. The Israelis are accused of cutting off power and water to the properties. One of those homes is owned by a Palestinian American man who had been monitoring the situation from Ohio. Well, he's now returned to his house, and he's pleading with the Trump administration to help. Redmond Shannon reports.
The most important items Loui Ridi brought back from Ohio were not gifts for his family.
This is what I brought.
But the stars and stripes, flying it from his balcony above the village of Kusra. A message to the Israeli soldiers outside his gate and to the Jewish settlers who have besieged his and 2 other houses for more than a week. Young men who cut off their water and electricity, which were only restored in the past 2 days.
That's never crossed my mind that I will deal with such a thing.
After breakfast, Ridi heads outside with his nephew, and a settler approaches.
You are a terrorist settler.
The US ambassador to Israel has also called these settlers terrorists, even though Mike Huckabee generally supports Israel's settlements, which are illegal under international law.
Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
The settler walks onto Ridi's land before Israeli soldiers arrive.
That's my bait. That's my house. All good, all good, all good.
The soldiers tell both men the roadway is currently a closed military area.
That's my property line. No. That belongs to me. This. That belongs to me. Only شطق צבאי סגור. That belongs to me. It's closed. It's closed. I was in America. I planted this before I left. I know. And I come to find all this damage.
The UN says nearly 4,000 West Bank Palestinians have been displaced this year alone due to settler violence and intimidation.
If I'm unable to protect this house and the settlers end up here, they're going to raise the flag. But before they raise their flag, they have to remove the American flag. And that's the message to the U.S. Embassy. I need help. I need protection. And that's why I have it here.
The Israeli government has not condemned these settlers, despite reports its greatest ally, the US, has asked it to do so. Redmond Shannon, Global News, London.
A Russian missile strike killed 10 people and wounded 17 others in northeastern Ukraine. Ukraine says 2 missiles hit a village, damaging homes, shops, and a post office. President Volodymyr Zelensky called it a brutal attack and vowed Ukraine will respond. Ukrainian forces launched one of their biggest overnight drone attacks on Russia since Russia's full-scale invasion, firing nearly 800 drones. Still ahead, OpenAI responds to child safety concerns, pitching a new experience for teens. In the U.S., Disney has filed a lawsuit against the Federal Communications Commission, or FCC, alleging a violation of its First Amendment rights. The lawsuit aims to stop an unusually early license renewal process, which the company says is a political attack on free speech. In April, the FCC ordered Disney's ABC-owned television stations to begin the renewal process for licenses that aren't due to expire until 2028. The lawsuit alleges the Trump administration is retaliating because it disapproves of what ABC broadcasts. Trump has publicly targeted ABC, calling for late-night host Jimmy Kimmel to be fired and for the network's licenses to be revoked. Opening arguments got underway today in California in a high-stakes trial involving Meta, the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. 4 states are seeking up to $1.4 trillion in penalties and want the social media giant to change its platforms. Meta is accused of fueling a youth mental health crisis and deceiving users by promoting its apps as safe. The company says it's proud of its record of protecting teens and believes it has a strong case. Meta has already lost 2 cases related to safety and making its products addictive. OpenAI is rolling out a version of ChatGPT designed for teenagers. The artificial intelligence company says the experience is tailored to children aged 13 to 17 and includes reminders for users to take a break, as well as content restrictions around topics such as suicide and self-harm. It also claims to provide homework support aimed at helping students learn. OpenAI has faced lawsuits over allegations that ChatGPT has facilitated cheating in school and encouraged suicide. Up next, a goat story. Why a BC man and his herd slept in a community park for over a week. Welcome back. After a week of stress and uncertainty, most residents in BC's Okanagan are now being allowed to return home. A massive wildfire forced thousands to flee Summerland and surrounding communities. And it's not just people who were displaced. Sarah McDonald has the story of a BC evacuee and a herd of goats.
This is Odin.
Greg Crowder stood out among the thousands of evacuees in Penticton, BC, for one obvious reason.
Oh, that may be your mic.
Or 7.
And so where are you staying now?
In the park. Because I'm not allowed, no building's going to take 7 goats. So I just go to the public park and I lay out a roll and I sleep there and they all sleep around me.
We had to go see for ourselves. And sure enough, as the sun set,
let's go through the gate. Come on.
There was Greg and his goats on their daily pilgrimage to the park that became the place they'd lay their heads and hooves for more than a week. Escaping Summerland and the flames surrounding it with the bare necessities and little else.
It looked like Dante's Inferno. There were all these spikes of fire. Then we grabbed all the girls, threw them in the truck, and then I left town. And that was it.
It is so pretty.
As it turns out, this is it for another type of kid.
Some more, here it comes. This day of my life.
Creating a whole lot of happiness for Parker and London.
It's a nice surprise, wasn't it? Yeah.
Who's here for the same reason.
Our house is not on fire yet.
No, our house is still there right now. Yes.
Would you like to meet the ladies? Okay, I need you to put your hand out flat.
On Tuesday, after 9 long days and nights, Greg got word his house is still there too.
Come on, let's go.
He knows he's among the lucky ones, having found friends without the same fortune.
You know it's gone, and he knows it's gone. And it's just a subject that you only talk about once. Come on, Quill.
Proof that anywhere can feel like home.
All right, good night, girls. Be good.
As long as you have your herd.
Good sleep.
Sarah McDonald, Global News, Penticton, BC.
And that is Global National for this Tuesday night. I'm Jeff Semple. Tonight's Your Canada is this canola field near Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. We love seeing your Canada, so please email your photos to globalnational@globalnews.ca. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you back here again tomorrow. Have a great night.